Hi there, my name is Lovice. I am the project leader of Matanui Rising.
Hey everyone, I'm Essenger. I voiced the Avatar in Tanma, and I worked on the musical score and sound effects for Episode 1 of Ignition Battle for Power.
Hello, this is Tapping Productions. I'm a stop-motion supervisor on the project.
Hey everyone, this is Titan, voice actor of Radiac, and one of the screenwriters for The Attack on the Matoran Village.
Hi, I'm Tederek, and I am the environmental modeler on the village scene that you saw in the first episode.
Hello, my name is John Winfield, and I am a voice actor for Project Matanui Rising.
With the recent release of Bionicle Ignition Battle for Power, Arrival, we asked you for questions about Matanui Rising as a whole, and also about the creation of Episode 1 and Episode 2. Hope everyone enjoys this. How did you make Project Matanui Rising? Bionicle Ignition Battle for Power and Matanui Rising began in late 2018. The idea came about when Bionicle MP was no longer going to be doing the Ignition saga. The idea I had at first was just to only do the first 24 pages of the Shadows in the Sky book. However, when COVID hit in 2020, I started to recruit a lot more people at the time. The team expanded from about just only like 12 people to over 100. And currently now there's over 150 people on this team. Amazing talents from around the world. It's quite amazing. How did the early stages of production go, specifically on deciding what scenes for the episode would look like? So I always knew where we were going to begin, Miserix and Pterodax's takeover, and I knew that I wanted Episode 1 to end with the Toa Nuva. The source materials that we used was the Mutran Chronicles and Shadows in the Sky. We used the first 24 pages of the book. However, when we were halfway done with production for Episode 1, we wanted to add a huge scene. Tanma, in the scene with Gavla, in the original books, he sees the Makuta attacking the village. However, I wanted to show the Makuta destroying the village. I thought it was very important to showcase the Makuta's powers, how scary they are, and the threat that they pose to the whole universe of Bionicle. Any deleted scenes or scenes that were removed for Episode 1? There actually is a large deleted scene that was removed. It was when the Makuta arrive in the village attack. It was a scene with the Makuta using chain lightning to shoot down the Matoran that were escaping with their jetpacks. It was going to be really, really cool with Antraz lifting his arm straight into the air, and it was a bunch of lightning started to hit the Matoran with their jetpacks. I actually filmed that footage. There was some CGI work that was done with it with Vampra. He was using chain lightning coming off of his wings and flying in between the Matoran to knock them down as they were trying to fly away. We removed the scene because it was basically getting too gruesome, I would say, with the Matoran. Like, people already got the idea. It was already sad enough. It would have just extended the runtime. Like, people got the idea that the Makuta are evil and horrible, but it would have been cool. I know there's people that have heard about us removing the scene, but it just wasn't needed. Will good guy / bad guy get more appearances? Bad guy will be returning along with some of his friends. Stay tuned for that in Episode 2. How can I contribute to the project? So, we recently set up a Ko-Fi. If you're interested, you are welcome to donate any money that you would like. It really helps us tremendously and the entire team. We have used it to ship sets to animators from around the world. To those who have donated to us, thank you so much. It really means a lot from me and from the animators and from the team as a whole. How can I join Project Matanui Rising? So in the description of most of our videos and in this video, there is a Google form. Please fill out the desired role that you would be interested in. However, we are not looking for any voice actors at this time. What we're seeking the most is actually stop motion animators, 3D artists, and storyboard artists. And we're always looking for more people to join.
For Episode 1, I made the last 2 tracks starting with the scene towards the end where the Matoran are dodging the falling stalactites. I also did the sound design for the last third of the film. I think the most difficult thing I worked on had to have been the scream for Vampra. I think there were about 15 layers of sound design and effects for that I made mostly from scratch. I think it definitely paid off though, because that's one of my favorite segments of animation. I think my favorite moment of episode 1 would have to be the last sequence of the final battle where Vampra destroys the last village platform. Just the animation during that bit is absolutely insane, and the stop motion crew did an amazing job. I ended up joining the team for Matanui Rising a few years ago, I think, when I was asked to voice Nuparu. Then this year I ended up voicing Tanma and eventually got involved with the score and sound effects.
Stop motion questions. Which characters were the most difficult to animate? Vampra, the Makuta, and Radiac, all 16 pieces of them, were some of our most difficult ones. They actually share a lot of the same difficulties, the main ones being that they don't have a lot of really solid points of contact, even for just like standing around. With Vampra, it's claws and the tips of the feet things, and also for Radiac, it's just the tips of the points of their fangs. With regular characters, most of them we can plant down really easily, either with our helping hands or with globs of animating putty. I am a particular fan of animating putty. You just kind of glob it on the foot, stick it down, and then when you're moving the rest of the figure, you can make sure that most of it stays in place in between frames. If someone's on like the tips of their toes or something, and you want to move the arm, there's a good chance you're going to move the rest of the figure along with it, and that's going to be super annoying. Another reason is because Vampra has very, very long arms. Out of the Makuta, Vampra is one of the characters with the longest wingspans. That can become a big problem really quickly because you quickly just run out of room to keep the character in the frame. And if you have to have more than one of those characters in the frame, it can be a bit of a nightmare. Why did Tanma's arms change between the CCBS ones and the original ones? We changed them midway through filming because the original arms were really restrictive in the way that you could pose them. A lot more, surprisingly, than Photox arms and Solex arms, especially doing stuff like really good emoting became difficult at points. Most of the footage that we have with the original Admatoran arms is our old footage, except for, I think, some of Lee's footage was with the Admatoran arms, and I think that's just because he had them. But most of our new footage is with the CCBS arms. What scene took the longest to animate? The Makuta attacking the village took over 3 years to film and edit together. We are extremely proud of that. I think almost all of the animators we had animating on episode 1 all did at least some portion of work on Village Attack. A lot of my animation that I did for episode 1 was during Village Attack, like the transformation part of the good guy scene. Brock 321 did the falling. Everyone worked amazingly on it, and we're extremely proud of what we eventually came up with.
Yes, there were a lot of parts that were broken during filming. As many people may know, the 2008 joints weren't really known for their quality, as they often broke easily. Most common broken parts were, drumroll please, Shadow Matoran wings, Admatoran heads, joint parts, and sometimes even Matoran 2008 masks. Lego, bro, what was happening in 08, man? Come on. No, actually, I think the Admatoran totally got what they deserved because they're a bunch of bums. Matter of fact, I think the Makuta aren't even wrong, and in this essay, I'm going to geek out a little bit because this is honestly one of my favorite parts of the show, is, yes, we plan on showing the whole story and the whole journey that Takanuvu goes through. In fact, we plan on maybe like doing it in different animation mediums, and that's super cool. It's a long ways away, of course, but we're super excited, and when it's done, you guys will absolutely love it. My favorite moment from episode 1? Why, all the scenes I were in, obviously. Nah, I'm just playing. It was the arrival of the Toanuva, no contest. I love just the build up to when they finally arrive and we know they're gonna save the day. and the music and how it swells. Ugh, it's so good. Ah, I love Bionicle.
What software did I use for the project? Well, I, for one, use Blender 3D. I've been using Blender 3D for a very long time. And that's where I built and textured and modeled everything in. What was the hardest thing to work with in CG? Well, none of the individual items were particularly difficult to work with when building the village scene, though I did run into a problem that had me stumped for like a whole week with the plants. I didn't model the plants myself. I thought, let's just see if there's like a bunch of jungle plants that are already out there that I can just use and maybe credit the original creator for. And I did find a plant pack. And I was basically copying these plants over the scene, putting them in places where they look nice and dense, give it some nice foliage look. But it was constantly causing Blender to crash. And I couldn't figure out why, because I had done so many different memory saving techniques, like divided scene up in different render chunks and whatnot, to try and compensate for what I thought were limitations of my system. Turns out there was none of that. Every plant had a single frame of animation attached to it. It didn't do anything. It was just a single frame of animation. The worst part is I would save the project, open the project again, and the plants would all be scaled differently because the single frame of animation also had scaling data on it. That took a while to fix. What was the inspiration for creating the village? Well, I guess the villages from 2001 and 2003. You know, those villages. Like, I wanted to give the Matorans a proper village to live in, because from what we've seen from Matorans so far in Bionicle canon is that they do build themselves villages and tribal infrastructure and whatnot when they are living in more remote places. The moment that those Matoran went to the island of Matanui, they built themselves these well built out villages, right? I also know from side serials that other villages exist on other continents, such as the village of the Matoran of Sonics, where Krakua came from. It's a village, like a complete village-like infrastructure as it was described in the serial, if I remember correctly. That is what I went into the design with of the Avmatoran village. Were you sad when it was destroyed? Kinda. But, I mean, I knew it had to happen. This is basically what I was told from the very beginning. It's like, oh, right, this is a village that needs to be destroyed. So, of course, instead of going for like the little hovels that we see in the 3D CG background work of the toys, you know, it had to be like this nice, beautiful village that then had to get destroyed by the Makuta. So that's sad, yeah, but tragedy had to happen for the story, right? What are you excited to work on for episode 2? Well, I'm going to be doing a bunch of environmental modeling again, right? So that includes certain bits of equipment and whatnot. I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to say, but it involves a cave and 1 or 2 items of equipment inside this cave.
Who do I voice in Project Matanui Rising? I am the voice of Makuta Kirox, Makuta Krika, and Tren Krom. Makuta Kirox is the role you're going to hear first in the first episode of Project Matanui Rising. And honestly, it's been a real treat getting to utilize my more natural accent in Bionicle projects. I get to do a bit of Australian stuff with Raydak in the Mangai project, but also getting to do another more sort of sly and coy Makuta voice for this kind of these Matoran are stubborn. That sort of stuff is just really fun to me. I voiced Kirox ages ago. We recorded it because this process has been a constantly evolving one, and we've learned different things and stuff's changed throughout the project's history. But that voiceover work, I think, captures my sort of enthusiasm for getting into sort of voiceover fresh-faced and ready to go. Is sort of a perfect time capsule for that moment of history for me personally, where I was just getting the opportunities to voice stuff because people were asking me to. There's an enthusiasm there that I just can't replicate today. It was a really marvelous opportunity, one that I won't forget, and I hope to continue providing that for this project and for the community, because this project rules, and all the wonderful team members under an amazing leader in Lovis rule. And it's such a fun project to be a part of, and I feel utterly privileged to be able to play these roles. I can't wait for people to see what the team have been cooking. I found out about the project when Noah Productions, creator of the Bionicle Ignition and Ignition 2 stop-motion adaptations, made an April Fool's post about Ignition 3. And in that video he said, "I'm not working on Ignition 3, but there is a team that is working on Ignition 3. Having missed the boat on Ignition 2, because I was still a very inexperienced voice actor at the time, I was like, this is my chance to shoot my shot and voice something for Bionicle. And this was like 2019, 2020. And I got in touch with Lovis, thanks to Noah, and shot some stuff his way, and he told me to climb aboard, and the rest is history. Who is my favorite character? This is my least favorite question with Bionicle, because there's so many. I suppose in this particular arc, honestly, I just love Makuta Krika's more tragic bent as a character. Something about that is just super intriguing to me, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it gets explored in a stop-motion-y medium. But to sort of be less boring, another character that I really like who I don't voice is Takedox. Takedox is really cool bastard of a character, and I really, really love Newman's voice work for this project and in Ignition 2. Seeing that Federation of Fear arc is going to be, it's just a treat for fellow traitorous bastard fans such as I. What moment of the story of 2008 sticks with you and you like the most? I suppose Federation of Fear. Again, very boring answer, I know, but something about the sort of Suicide Squad type of story is just really cool, seeing a bunch of characters who have no business being associated with each other being sort of brought together for this wild off-kilter arc. It's very cool to see utilized in a story this grand. The writing sort of taking risks and going off the beaten path of, well, this is the story we've got to write for the product that's on the shelves now. But we don't want to leave the past in the dust, so let's bring the past out a little bit and some little fun stories of their own. And Federation is certainly one of my favorite examples of that kind of storytelling. I hope you're all ready for Project Matanui Rising. I know I am. Stay tuned.
And keep an eye on the skies.